everyone, my name is Salia and welcome to HustleSZN. Today I'm doing the no disclaimers book tag. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone to try to find the video. I was tagged by Olivia at Olivia's Catastrophe, so I'll link her version of the tag down below, and I will look for whoever made the original and also link them down below too. It's like harder to breathe when you're lying down like this. Let me pull up the questions and then we'll get started. Number one, which trope or tropes in books annoy you the most? Ooh. I probably should have thought about these, but we're just gonna do like rapid fire here. So the one trope that I probably hate the most is when everybody in a series has to get together, and also when everybody's like only together with the other main people. I like side relationships, specifically like all of the Sarah J Maas books and Cassandra Clare books I think do this a lot, where like everybody is always a love interest for somebody. Like each new character essentially has to be a love interest for somebody else, and ultimately everybody's always paired up, and I don't really like that. I do like romance, I just don't want a ton of it. Like, you know, you don't have to choke me with it. That makes no sense. A little bit to keep me invested, but I don't need to be like, you know, tons of it to the point where I'm nauseous. So yeah, so that's one that annoys me. Outside of that, it's probably just problematic shit in books. Okay, that counts. I'm sure I'll think of others, but for now that's it. Which writer or writers do you feel are overrated or overhyped? At the moment, probably, I think Taylor Jenkins Reid. I like, to this day, have no idea what people like about Evelyn Hugo, and I actually watch a ton of videos of people like talking about it and how much they love it, and I'm always in awe and wonder. Like I don't get it. I hated that book so much. I mean, I didn't hate it, but it was so boring. Like, I agree that Evelyn Hugo is a realistic character, but beyond that, like after this, I think I made it to the third husband, and then I was like, you know, I don't fucking care. I still have 4 more to go. Like, this is insane. But I guess the question isn't really just about a book, it's about the author in general. And I just, you know, even Daisy Jones and the Six, I tried that one, and there's just something about her writing that is off-putting for me. I don't know, it just feels a little cold to me, if that makes sense. I've only read the 2 books and I have no plans on reading any of the other ones. Yeah, I don't know if you can say they're overrated based on only 2 books, but I definitely think those books are overhyped. So aside from that, obviously there's like the classic ones. I think Cassandra Clare is overhyped. Sarah J Maas, I just think went downhill. I do think she deserved her hype at first. The books that I like by her are some of my favorite, and I love this series, so I don't think of her as overhyped the same way as like the same way other people probably do. I just think that she like was reaching this peak and she could have been a goddess, and then she just really fucked up. After Akawar, it just all went downhill, and now she's probably overhyped, but in a weird way I think she kind of deserved it. She just kind of screwed herself over. Okay, what are your least favorite books you've read since joining BookTube? I've read many books I don't like, but not necessarily because of BookTube. Some of them were just for like book clubs that I'm a part of. So like one of them was the autobiography of Kevin Hart, which was just very, very, very long. And also I was not interested in Kevin Hart's Radio Silence, but I already talked about that a ton in my previous video. The Gilded Wolves I didn't love. Oh, you know what? Scythe by Neil Shusterman. That's a book that I read because of BookTube and because of the hype on BookTube. Oh no, I'm running out of battery! Scythe was a book that I read because of BookTube, and I ended up really not liking. I just found it to be so boring. The relationship was so unnecessary, and just like the writing style was so, you know, like matter of fact. There was just no emotion to it, and maybe that was like part of the style. Maybe that's Neil Shusterman's style in general. But I really did not like that book. I thought the concepts were cool, and thinking about that type of dystopian, utopian, whatever world is fun, but the actual execution of that book was not for me, so.
All right, my battery died and I'm a mess. So 3 days later, let's finish this tag. Let's get right on into question 4. A terrible ending that ruined an otherwise quality book. I don't think there's like a standalone book necessarily. I usually know earlier on whether or not I like the book. The only book where like the ending actually pisses me off to the nth degree is probably A Streetcar Named Desire. But if we're gonna go series wise, there are a few series where the last book disappointed me to the point where like now I can't really recommend the series, you know what I'm saying? My 2 examples for this are The Winner's Kiss. It took away all of the buildup of the second book, and I will never forgive it for what it did. It used a very stupid trope, and just all of that tension was blown apart in 2 seconds, and You know, it never let the pot boil. Like, the pot was getting there, and then this book destroyed it, and I'm forever mad about it. A Court of Wings and Ruin. This book, I don't know what to say about it. I think this is like the book that ruined Sarah J Maas. I mean, I know people talk about a lot of the other ones, but I really truly think this is the one that did it, because this happened, I think, and then Empire of Storms, or like the two of them were around the same time, and it was just downhill all the way. This was so bad to the point where I am now a little bit scared to pick up Kingdom of Ash. I bought it, and Throne of Glass was one of those series where I was rereading all the books every year in anticipation for the new one, and I was loving it, and I was so excited to read that book. And I bought it, and it's now been like, what, over a year? Almost a year maybe that it's been out, and I still haven't read it. And it's because I have no more faith in Sarah J Maas writing me a finale book. And also, like, the whole diversity controversy, like, it was happening, I mean, I guess since like book 2 of Throne of Glass, but I feel like this one really took the cake in terms of like just adding diversity for the sake of adding diversity. And I mean, I can't talk too much about it because it's the last in a trilogy without ruining stuff, but I didn't like it. Actions did not have consequences, and people were suddenly things they were not. Very a la Dumbledore, if you will. Number 5. Which fictional character do you wish was not killed off? This is also very spoilery. I kind of wish it was which character did you wish was killed? In which case, I would probably say Harry Potter. Only because I think that a lot of really great characters get killed off, and it could have been Harry, you know? It didn't have to be all those other people. Honestly, the only one I can think of is a character in Nevernight who deserved a lot better. I guess that's all I'm really allowed to say. Number 6, what are some of your bookish pet peeves? First and foremost, just any typo. I just don't get it. Like, books are professional things, and the amount of typos we get in YA books is kind of astounding. I totally see why they happen, and I would never really diminish the value of a book because of a couple typos. Like, whatever, fine, it happens. I just don't get it. Like, this is your baby you've put out into the world, and it's so sad to see a typo ruin that, you know? Another one that I saw recently, because I just finished Permanent Record by Marie H.K. Choi. Maybe I'll look it up. I took a picture, hold on. My phone rings in my room. I shrug. It's probably Bill's. I assume that it's an inwardly shrug, like he didn't actually hear his phone and then go, and then not pick it up. I just think that's so weird. Like, who are you shrugging to? And are you truly shrugging? And why don't we specify that it's an inwardly shrug? I think that's a little weird, because then you're trying to imagine it and it takes you out, because you're like, who the fuck shrugs to themselves? Because I definitely don't. I'll talk to myself. I will think to myself. I never like to myself, though, you know. What are some books you feel should have more recognition? I've brought these up on my channel before, but I think this series should have more recognition. There's Every Breath, Every Word, and the third one is called Every Move, and it is not released in North America, so I totally see why there's no recognition for this book. But they are amazing, they're so good, they're so fun. The last time I read them, though, was like 5 years ago. Do they stand the test of time? Who knows? But 5 years ago, I fucking love them. They're essentially another Sherlock Holmes Watkins retelling, but they're like Australian kids, and it's so good. On top of like the actual mystery that happens, there are so many other themes that are sort of brought up. Like the girl, who's technically the Watkins, she just moved into a big city from like the countryside, and a lot of it's like her dealing with that new anxiety of being in this new super hectic place and like not necessarily knowing how to fit in. Overall, like the vibe of the book is so, I felt like it was really realistic, and it really felt like two teenagers just like doing shit in the city. I'm doing a horrible job of telling you how great it is, but these are like very angsty, very slow burny, very real, gritty, but not like super depressing gritty, you know? Also, this is another trilogy where I feel like the second book really takes the cake for being the best one. What are your thoughts on censorship and banning books? Honestly, I have not thought about this that much. I think the easy answer is that like nothing should be banned. I don't know, sometimes I wonder, like there's so much problematic shit out there, and you're like, how did this get published? I don't understand. And yet there's like perfectly normal but maybe too progressive stuff that gets banned, and you're like, you know, I just don't understand society sometimes. Even if I said let's ban certain stuff, like who gets to decide, you know? So I think that that is a whole ethical video on its own. My true opinion is that like nothing should be banned, and that people should learn to just be critical readers, but Obviously that's a flawed argument, and I'm sure you could argue against that, and there's like tons of other factors that go into it. And I also like recognize like the problematic shit, that stuff can hurt, so why would you want it available, you know, if you're the target of whatever it's problematic about. I just think that like historically, unfortunately, the banned books ended up being like not as bad as we think. Oh, like somebody was naked, so we banned it. More so than, oh, this book is racist or perpetuates fat phobia or like legit things. I feel like usually books have been banned for not as legit things, or it was just like politically at that time those people weren't allowed to have a voice, which are all very, very sad reasons to ban a book, obviously. I can see when banning would be appropriate, but for the most part, I'd say no, because in the wrong hands, it's bad. I think that's it for this tag. Last one is who do you tag, and this is a very old tag, so I don't know that I'm gonna tag anyone. I feel like most people have done it. You know what, maybe I can tag Zoe and Andrew. I tagged Zoe and Andrew because I'm positive you two haven't done it. If anybody else is watching this and wants to do it, feel free. Actually, that's a bit of a pet peeve of mine. I hate when booktubers just say they tag you, because if I really loved you, I'd say your name, or I'd actually go look at your channel and see if you did it. Sorry. Alright, bye!